Right now at 10 o'clock, we're tracking Hurricane Ian, which has now seen a slight shift in direction to the east since we were last on air.
We are also following breaking news in Chapel Hill, where WRAL has confirmed multiple people were shot on Pritchett Avenue. Within the last hour, we also learned one of them has died. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker is on the scene. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Gerald Owens.
And I'm Lena Tillett. We begin with the coverage of a menacing Category 3 storm, Hurricane Ian. Waves are battering the Florida coast tonight. This video was taken in the Florida Keys just before conditions got so bad we lost our signal there. Look at that. Peak wind gusts hit over 70 miles per hour in Key West. In Cuba, Ian's rains and winds lashed the northern tip of that island, and new video of that damage is just coming in within the last 15 minutes. And we learned power is now out for the entire island.
All new tonight, WRAL has team coverage of Hurricane Ian's impact, from the air travel to the latest live images coming out of Florida to canceled events and festivals in our area.
We'll begin with our team of meteorologists who noticed that shift in our latest advisory.
Mike Mays in WRAL Severe Weather Center. Mike, does this change the effects that we'll see here?
No, not at all. Not at the way it looks right now. The storm, instead of moving to the north, is now moving north-northeast. It's an anticipated change that would take it over just south of Tampa this time tomorrow night. Now, this is the radar view. You can definitely see the eye. Peak wind gust, as Lena mentioned, was actually 71 miles per hour over the Key West International Airport. The latest gust this past hour, 66 miles per hour. And look at all the tornado warnings. All these red polygons are tornado warnings, and 5 reports of tornado touchdowns between Miami and up toward Broward County, with reports of some planes flipped over at a general aviation airport in Broward County. Now, that storm continues to head to the north-northeast at 10. This is from the 10 o'clock advisory. Winds 120 miles per hour, and we expect between now and about 2 a.m. for this to go to Category 4 status per the forecast, with top winds at 130, making landfall tomorrow evening around this time, moving inland. And from this point to this point is 24 hours. So there's likely going to be some major rainfall and major flooding going on across central Florida. We're talking about Tampa, Orlando, Daytona Beach, and then for a brief period, it moves over water. And a lot of folks have been wondering, is it going to intensify? Well, not likely, because it's an environment where there's a lot of dry air and upper level wind shear that would inhibit the strengthening. In fact, that wind shear will likely cause it to weaken as it approaches Florida, and then it's a remnant low over upstate South Carolina by Saturday afternoon, with top winds at 30 miles per hour. And there's a lot of consensus between the American model, the European model, and the tropical model plots that it would follow the path that the Hurricane Center has in their forecast. So when we have a new update at 11, I doubt we'll see any kind of shift in the forecast track. So the way it looks like right now, talking about up to 2 feet of rain across central Florida due to the slow movement of the storm. And then for us, as it stands right now, we're talking about 3 to 5 inches starting Friday, lasting into Saturday, and maybe a little bit on Sunday. And then for wind gusts, the European model has upped the numbers a little bit. Peak wind gusts now 38 for Raleigh, perhaps 45 in Fayetteville. These would happen around daybreak on Saturday, and then lesser winds during the afternoon on Saturday. I think the worst period for our weather would be Friday night and Saturday morning. In fact, I'll outline this, tracking the heavy rainfall, when we would see it on Futurecast coming up in less than 15 minutes. I'll outline when we're most likely going to see the worst from this storm. It's coming up.
This is a massive rainmaker.
It is.
We'll see you in a few minutes, Mike. Thank you. Now back to Hurricane Ian. With major airports in Tampa and Orlando suspending operations, travelers in the storm's path are scrambling to fly into RDU before the storm makes landfall. WRAL's Aaron Thomas is live tonight with impacts there. Aaron?
Yeah, Gerald, we have already seen our share of cancellations and delays in places like Miami and Tampa. There's a local woman who actually lives and works in Orlando. She's really hoping that she does not get stranded in this storm. You see, she's trying to fly back into RDU. Her flight is slated to leave after 7 tomorrow morning, but Orlando International Airport closes at 10:30 tomorrow morning. The U.S. travel system bracing for a hit as Hurricane Ian charges towards land.
I'm hoping I slide through and my plane makes it safely.
Ashley Brackett works with the Disney College program in Orlando. She planned to fly back to Raleigh on Friday for her brother's wedding. With the impending storm, Brackett rebooked for Wednesday, just hours before Orlando International Airport closes its doors.
I'm really stressed and anxious, but I'm hoping everything is planned, that even if there's a delay, I'm hoping I can get out of there before the closing at 10:30.
A spokeswoman with RDU Airport Authority tells WRAL officials are monitoring the storm's track and preparing for any potential impacts.
But it takes very high winds in order to ground folks here. And we're not anticipating that for Ian, but again, we're always prepared no matter what weather situation comes our way.
And officials go on to say that it's always the best bet to check your airline status. As for that woman in Orlando, she tells me that she does have an emergency kit on hand should she get stranded in Hurricane Ian. Gerald?
She's very smart. Aaron Thomas live at the airport. Thank you.
I'm Mark Boyle in the WRAL Live Center. A live look right now down in Key West. This shot keeps coming in and out, but right now it's working just fine. You can see the southernmost point, that's down in Key West. You talk about that storm surge and the wind. You can see right now here at 10:07, all of that water being pushed inland. And take a look at this video right here. This is new. This is in Key West, a different vantage point just a couple of blocks away. Looks like a river, right? That's just all of that water coming into the community there. And that's one of the big concerns here this evening and will be for the rest of the West Coast, central, and the northern parts of Florida later this week. Mike was talking about this right here. These are some of those smaller planes flipped over towards Hollywood and the Fort Lauderdale area as strong winds came through that area this evening. This is just a small glimpse of what's happening tonight. You also are hearing about power outages. All of Cuba without power tonight, the entire system taking a huge hit. And down in Key West, some of those winds topping out well over tropical storm force. We'll monitor the situation here in the WRAL Live Center.
Yeah, you think about the fact that Hurricane Ian knocked out the entire power grid for Cuba. Yeah. This is a strong storm. It's also pushing the IBMA World of Bluegrass Festival inside this weekend. All vendors and performances will now move indoors to the Raleigh Convention Center.
And this is a major event in our area. WRAL's Julian Grace is live in Raleigh with more on the preparations underway to make the changes. Julian?
Well, Gerald, the rain here is expected to come down on Friday. That means about 150 vendors will have to go inside, including performers as well. Speaking about performances, we want you to take a look at this performance that took place earlier tonight. Fans already showed up at the Lincoln Theater this evening for the opening performance. Board members made the decision to move indoors around noon today. All of the free shows and vendors will be relocated inside the Raleigh Convention Center. The Raleigh Memorial Auditorium at Duke Energy Center is where the main stage performers will play.
Our thoughts and prayers are with the people that are truly in harm's way. We're being inconvenienced in a minor way. We got to go outside the inside. Fortunately, the city of Raleigh is set up perfectly to allow us to do that.
Staying optimistic. Now, despite Ian, we're hearing that ticket sales are up. Gerald, one board member tells me one of the reasons why is because there are no longer COVID-19 mandates for the festival.
And a very popular event. Julian Grace live in Raleigh. Thank you, Julian.
The storm is also affecting the college football schedule across the Southeast. East Carolina's game at USF Saturday has changed locations from Tampa to Boca Raton, Florida, while South Carolina moved its home game up to Thursday and Florida moved its game back to Sunday. So far, NC State's big game at Clemson is still scheduled to be played Saturday night, though officials at Clemson say they are closely monitoring the situation. The Tar Heels are scheduled to play Virginia Tech on Saturday and are preparing for several hurricane-related scenarios. Same goes for Wake Forest, scheduled to play at Florida State. Fayetteville State University has moved its Saturday home game to Thursday night. Now, parents, most high schools across the state have moved their games Friday to Thursday. Because of all these changes, High School OT Live and Football Friday are canceled this week. As we continue to track the tropics, you can follow updates with the free WRAL weather app. You can check anytime on WRAL.com. And of course, tomorrow morning at 4:30, check in with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner for the very latest.
Senator Mike Mays now looking at the storm's track, which continues to change, Mike, seemingly hour by hour.
Yes, and we are getting new updates hour by hour with the full update coming in at 11 o'clock. We'll have that for you at the top of the newscast at 11. And there is the eye of Hurricane Ian. There is Key West, which had a wind gust at 66 miles per hour this past hour, and the squalls moving through South Florida. And there have been numerous tornado warnings going through the night. As this moves to the north and northeast, the potential for tornadoes was spread northward. Right now, no rain in the Tampa area, but that should be different tomorrow morning when you wake up with Elizabeth starting at 4:30. Now, this is the current forecast track, that red line showing where the storm could head. And these are the power outage potential. And you'd expect medium to high power outage potential, especially around the Tampa area where the winds are are going to be the strongest. Now, per chance, if this track shifts a little bit farther to the east and is able to be over water and maintain its tropical storm status, it could per se come in near Hilton Head. If that's the case, then maybe some of those stronger winds can make their way closer to us. As of right now, the power outage potential is low for us. Wouldn't be surprised if there were some sporadic power outages. I know at my house when there's heavy rainfall and a little bit of gusty wind, the power will flicker. That's the possibility around here. Maybe some brief power outages, but not on a widespread basis. But if that track shifts, it could be a little different. Now, I wanted to give you an idea by looking at Futurecast when we could anticipate the worst conditions. Thursday afternoon, we're looking at a thick overcast ahead of Ian. In fact, we're going to see those Ian clouds overnight tonight and during the day tomorrow as well, and they'll thicken and lower through the day on Thursday. Friday morning, we wake up to a little bit of light rain in the southern part of the state. And note, this is a low resolution product, so it looks like it's a lot of widespread rain. So when we get high resolution model data to look at tomorrow for Friday, we'll get a better idea the distribution of the rain. 6 o'clock on Friday, we start to see the heaviest rain in the southern part of the state moving up to the north. And the worst conditions may come after midnight on Friday into Saturday morning. And this could be when the greatest isolated tornado risk is. This continues to shift to the north and east, and after lunchtime, we see a period where there's very little rain perhaps going on. Most of it could be on the light side, heaviest rain to the west, heaviest rain to the north and to the east, and during the evening, very little may be going on. And you look at Clemson, and not a great deal of rain, and you look over toward UNC, not really a good deal of rain. So for the NC State Clemson game, about a 50% chance for rain, winds from the northeast about 15 to 20 miles per hour and temperatures in the 60s. I think the worst conditions there will come in the morning. So for us, in the morning we step out 51, cool enough for jackets, and at the bus stop 51 by 8, by 10 a.m. 61. It's thicker upper level clouds that'll be shifting in. Tomorrow's high 71. We had 81 today, so tomorrow will be cooler than today. 59 right now at RDU with a dew point of 42, and across the area it's cooling down pretty good. If you were out this evening, you felt a little chillier air than we had last night at the same time. Lows tonight in the 40s from Raleigh northward, southern counties in the low 50s. We'll call it partly cloudy, and then tomorrow mostly cloudy skies as those upper level clouds stream in ahead of Ian. No rain tomorrow, 71 in Raleigh, 73 Fayetteville, 70 in South Hill. Your 7-day forecast, we expect it to be windy Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning with those peak wind gusts coming Saturday morning. Highs rather cool, 68 on Friday, 100% chance of rain for Friday night and Saturday morning, 50% Saturday night, and still a chance for some showers and storms Sunday and Monday. It's going to be a busy period starting on Friday. We'll have updates, of course, coming up at 11 on WRAL, and Kat will have a look at the current power outages across Florida. Who's getting hit right now?
So Hurricane Ian could bring a devastating storm surge to parts of Florida. In fact, we're already seeing evidence of that tonight.
Meteorologist Kat Campbell's in the WRAL Severe Weather Center to tell us how high it's going to get in many parts of Florida and how this is going to affect homes and businesses. Kat.
Well, the worst of it is going to come tomorrow in Florida. When you look at the storm surge forecast, I want to point out the forecast track in red here. It's to the right of that track where you expect to see some of the worst storm surge. And given that the track has shifted slightly to the south, that means that the storm surge forecast is going down a bit for Tampa Bay. Now 4 to 6 feet of storm surge forecast, but it's around here where you have the wind pushing all of that water onshore that you have greater impact for Port Charlotte, Cape Coral, and areas just to the south. That's where there could be 5 to 10 feet of storm surge, and that can be devastating. Take a look at what it can do inside of a home. Half of all U.S. deaths from tropical systems are due to storm surge. Storm surge can travel miles inland, destroying structures in its path. This is why you need to evacuate if told to do so. Just a few inches of water in your home can knock out the power. Water rises, furniture, and other objects begin to float. 3 feet of water will force you to look for higher ground. This may be a second floor or maybe even an attic. But if the water rises to 6 feet, this is definitely a life-threatening situation. The water would be above my head, and sharp, dangerous objects, electrically charged objects, could be floating around in the water. Water levels up to 9 feet would be all the way up to the ceiling in most homes. This is why you must listen to local officials and evacuate when told to do so. And Florida likely to see devastating storm surge. We are not expecting to see any of that here with this storm in North Carolina. Lena and Gerald.
Yeah, chilling graphic when you see how high that water can get.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Kat.